I don't usually take road trips. If I need to travel somewhere far away, I'd much rather fly. But a few years ago, after a family member suddenly passed away, I had no choice but to drive nearly 10 hours to my cousin's house for the funeral. I packed enough clothes to last about a week and left early the next morning. At first, the drive was easy. But several hours in, dark storm clouds began forming ahead of me. An hour later, I was driving through one of the worst rainstorms I'd ever seen. The road stretched through endless fields and isolated forests, and some sections dipped low enough that rainwater completely flooded portions of the highway. At one point, the road ahead was underwater. I had to turn around because there was no way I was risking my car getting stuck in the middle of nowhere. The detour added hours to my drive. By the time evening arrived, I was exhausted. I'd already been on the road close to 8 hours, and I still had another 5 to go. Between the darkness and the heavy rain, I could barely keep my eyes open anymore. I knew I needed to stop somewhere and rest. After nearly 45 minutes of fighting sleep, I finally came across a tiny rural town. And when I say tiny, I mean maybe 20 buildings total. A grocery store. A gas station. A few scattered houses. That was it. I drove around searching for a motel, but there wasn't one. The only place I could really stop was the parking lot of the grocery store, so I parked in the farthest corner beneath a flickering streetlight. The town felt dead silent. No cars. No people. Most buildings were completely dark. Honestly, the place felt creepy, but I locked my doors, leaned my seat back, and convinced myself it was safer than sleeping on the side of an empty highway. The rain hammered against the roof of my car as I slowly drifted off. I woke. As I looked around groggily, I noticed movement in the distance. Someone was walking through the parking lot, toward my car. At first, I assumed they'd turn or head somewhere else. But they didn't. The closer they got, the clearer it became that they were heading directly for me. Rain poured so heavily that it blurred everything outside, but once the figure got close enough, I could finally tell it was a man. What immediately unsettled me was the fact that he didn't seem bothered by the storm at all. No umbrella. No jacket over his head. Nothing. He simply walked through the rain staring at my vehicle. Once he reached the back of my car, I braced for him to try opening the doors. Instead, he placed both hands flat against the trunk. And started pushing. Not trying to break in. Trying to physically push my entire car. At first, I genuinely thought I was dreaming. The man leaned harder against the vehicle like he was desperately trying to shove it across the parking lot. That's when I realized something was seriously wrong with him. I quickly shoved my key into the ignition and started the engine. The headlights flashed on. But the man didn't react. He just kept pushing. Slowly, I backed out of the parking spot. For several seconds, he actually followed the moving car while keeping his hands pressed against it. Then he finally let go. I watched him through the mirror as I drove away. He stood motionless in the rain for a few moments before calmly walking back into the darkness from where he came. I didn't stop driving again until I reached my cousin's house. And even now, I still have no idea what that man was trying to do.